Hi, it's me again, JP Albano, co-founder and CEO of Significant Lifestyle Communities. It's gonna be fun to say on the 10th video. So this is video number 2, in no particular order here. This is about how do we make money for investors, right? Usually at the end of the day, an investor wants to know, okay, how much money am I getting and how are you going to make money for me? So I'm gonna outline some of that in this video. So the way an investor makes money in an apartment investment, there's a couple of different ways. And we try to employ or tap into a handful of these different scenarios. So I'll lay them out. Number one, they are part of a business, an entity that is buying a piece of real estate. It's part of a business. They're buying part of a business, right? They're buying ownership into that business. That's kind of one way of looking at it. As that business generates profits, they earn percentages of those profits, right? We make those profits through charging rent, right? Charging rent, managing expenses, and finding other ways of increasing revenues. So whether that's charging move-in fees, or we charge things like application fees, all those things to increase revenues and, of course, reducing expenses. And then what we do with that is we also take out a loan, not a high leverage loan, but a loan with a bank. And these are leveraged between 65 to 75%, depending on the deal itself. And then we usually take money out from a bank to help us pay for renovations that we're going to do. And those renovations are going to help drive the rents that we're trying to increase, right? So if average rents are $1,000, we know they should be at $1,300. But the only way to get there is really make the apartments look nicer. We're going to borrow some money from the bank to make those renovations, right? We make those renovations. We're now able to offer a nicer product. Someone comes in, they pay us $1,300 a month for their rent, and now we're increasing revenues, right? And that's kind of part one on how we kind of create value and make money for investors. The next part happens as a mechanism of doing that. By increasing the value of the property, we bought it for $10 million. It's now worth 20, right? Because we increased the value, and it's not a one-to-one thing. We'll do another video on NOI and how that works. But just because we raise rents by $100 a month doesn't mean the value of the property is $100 plus, or times 12, if you will, per month. It works off of something called a cap rate. We'll get to that later on. But we've increased value from $10 to $20 million. Great. We can now go to the bank and refinance one of our original loans that we used to acquire the property, and pull out 30%, 60 to 70% of that equity that we've created from the bank. So we might get $1 million or $2 million back, and that money, what we'll get, we'll be able to redistribute back to investors as a return of their capital. So in those situations, we try to typically aim for return of capital anywhere from 30 to 70% plus, depending on the deal, within the first 3 years. That's generally our aim. Sometimes there's things outside of our control, interest rates increases, maybe there's a construction delay and we have to push that off to 3.5 years, or we can do it sooner. We try to work on those timelines, but we try to create value for investors by creating a lot of value in the project there, pulling out cash from the bank, and then returning that cash to our investors as return of capital. In between that, right, and or after that, now that the property has a new loan on there, new mortgage, and we're getting higher rents, we'll be able to get some cash flows from the property, right? And we'll be able to take those cash flows, whatever's left over after paying the mortgage at the end of the month, and send that out to our investors as distributions. And we typically aim for distributions as little as quarterly distributions, but the ultimate goal will be to get to a point where we can do those monthly, right? So each month you're getting, a new check in the mail, right? Mailbox money, on top of whatever sort of capital events that we do. And those capital events are those refinances or exits, meaning sale, right, of the property. That counts as a capital event. So really, to kind of summarize, there's a couple of ways. One, creating profits through increasing revenues, reducing expenses. Refinance events or sales events, those create a lot of liquidity or capital, and we can give those back to our investors. And then also through cash flows, right? If there's money left over at the end of the month after paying the mortgage, take that money and give it out to our investors as distributions. And then, of course, another benefit on here for investors, which is kind of not really thought of as making money for, but it is really, is depreciation. Real estate has some of the best mechanisms for depreciation. So, for example, you're an investor and you're faced with paying the IRS, I don't know, 50 grand, just for argument's sake, in extra taxes that year. Well, instead of buying a boat or a plane or something else, you can take that 50 grand and put it into a real estate investment, right? And it works two ways for you. Number one, your money's now working for you passively, right? So it's going to go out and make, it's 15, 20% annual for you. But the 50 grand that you put in that deal, depending on when you're watching this video and what year you're in, the IRS allows you to write, anywhere from 100% to 80% to smaller numbers over the next couple of years of that investment off on your taxes. So so that could be anywhere from, call it 30 grand to 50 grand in the year that you made the investment off of your income tax. So that's like a win-win, right? You're making money and you're saving money on taxes. That's another way that we make money for our investors. Let me know what questions you've got. Feel free to reschedule a call with me as well, and I'll see you on the next video.